Hello friends, welcome to my channel Englishpedia. So today we are going to discuss a very famous novel Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence and we will discuss the summary and analysis of the novel. তোমরা যারা বাংলায় ভিডিওটি দেখতে চাও তারা সাবটাইটেলটা অ্যাক্টিভেট করে ভিডিওটা দেখতে পারো। So let's start with the summary of the novel. So what are we going to discuss today is about the writer, about the novel, summary of the novel and the theme of the novel. So about the writer David Herbert Lawrence, you know that he was born in 1885 in England and his own experience growing up in coal mining family, as we will see that in Sons and Lovers also. He was a modern writer. Lawrence had many affairs with women. So this was a small information about the writer. Now we will go to the about the poem. So the novel was published in 1913 and before publication the title was Paul Morrell. It is also an autobiographical novel, coming of age novel and buildings romance also. So let's go directly to the summary of the novel. So friends, this story starts with Mrs. Morrell. Mrs. Morrell falls in love with a man named Walter Morrell, but their basis of love between them was physical attraction, and the relation which is based on physical attraction does not go longer, and this was happened between this husband and wife. After few days of marriage, problem arises in their conjugal life. Mrs. Morrell came to know that Mr. Morrell belongs to a poor family, does not earn sufficient money. Even the furniture in their home was taken in loan. Walter Morrell has no amount that he can pay for the furniture. And friends, the physical attraction also gone. And between them, there was no thread that can tie their relationship. Every day, they quarreled over some petty issues, and Walter Morrell used to go to the wine bar and returned home drinking wine and whip Mrs. Morrell. Friends, the condition was worse and fighting and quarreling was a common event in their home, and the poverty was also there. In the meantime, Mrs. Morrell gave birth two children. One is William Morrell and other is Annie Morrell. Now Mrs. Morrell's attraction completely ended from his husband and totally shifted to his elder son William Morrell. As he was a boy, the whole concentration and caring falls on him. Whatever love and happiness was not gained from her husband, she expects those from his son William. Friends, the condition and situation was getting worse. In the meantime, Mrs. Morrell gets pregnant again, but Mrs. Morrell has no intention to bear this child, as she thinks that Mr. Morrell, his husband, drinks wine regularly and their financial condition was not so good. So they thought not to accept their third child, but it does not go according to Mrs. Morrell's planning. After all, life goes its own flow, not anybody's planning. This time, the third child was born, and his name was. Even after Paul Morrell's birth, their quarreling does not stop. The same story repeats in this family day after day. Mr. Morrell drinks every day and every day. One day, Mr. Morrell loses all money in drinking and steals Mrs. Morrell's money from her hidden place where she kept it. So, in the relationship, there were many loopholes. Friends, in this way, time passes and passes. And one day, Walter becomes ill. But Mrs. Morrell takes care her husband and completely cures his illness. Friends, after the hat trick, Mrs. Morrell bore another child, and his name was Arthur Morrell, the youngest child. Amid this, the eldest son, William, gets a job offer from London. He shifted to London, but William dies there of a skin disease. Mrs. Morrell feels aghast hearing this bad news, as he was her favorite child, and the sadness gets sparked when she came to know that Paul Morrell has also a disease named pneumonia. Mrs. Morrell becomes so afraid and engaged by day and night to look after his third child, Paul Morrell. And slowly, Paul Morrell heals getting his mother's care and love. Now, Mrs. Morrell's son Paul Morrell turns in adolescence and become a young man. He had a love affair with Miriam Leviers, a farmer girl, a poor girl. Mrs. Morrell does not like their relationship as Miriam was a farmer's girl. Friends, Miriam had a friend named Clara. Clara is a married woman, but Clara's husband, Baxter, has left her without any divorce. Clara meets Paul, and Paul was young. Clara uses Paul to fulfill her sexual desires. But in the meantime, Mrs. Morrell falls ill. Her pain increases due to illness. Paul looks after her mother to relieve her excessive pain. Paul gives an overdose of a medicine named morphia. Morphia is used to decrease the pain. Due to overdose, Paul's mother, Mrs. Morrell, dies and she gets relief from this pain forever and ever. Friends, Paul becomes depressed and disappointed, frustrated for his mother's death. He goes to Miriam, but Miriam does not accept him. Paul becomes so alone, and Clara returned back to her husband, Baxter. And Paul, lost in darkness. At the end of the novel, he thought to suicide, but he does not. He lost in uncertainty. So this is how the novel ends. So next we will discuss its theme of the novel. So the theme of the novel is a psychological novel, and there is some Oedipus complex. The theme mainly is based on Oedipus complex, Sigmund Freud's theory of sexuality, and there is also mutual love story. Mrs. Morrell had a good position over her many sons, but especially here Paul Morrell. And Paul Morrell loves Miriam Leviers. On the other hand, Clara also loves Paul Morrell, and Paul also loves Clara. On the other hand, Baxter Dawes also loves Clara. So this was the mutual love story and the Oedipus complex, and it's a very psychological novel. Hope you all like the video. If you like the video, please hit the subscribe button and share this video. Thank you.